Next, we have Jaden Levitt. He's the founder of Pietra, a platform that allows people to launch and scale a creative business. Welcome to the show, Jaden.
Thank you for having me.
When you say launch and create, what does it mean to our viewers who are, for the time being, trapped at home and then they have a lot of creative energy to unleash?
Yeah, so thanks for that question. I think you summed it up really nicely. So we all have a lot of time right now on our hands as we're all quarantined here at home. So if you have an idea for a creative business, let's say you always had the idea to launch a line of jewelry, or you had the idea to launch a line of candles or fragrances, or even a book collection. Pietra gives you the opportunity to take that idea and within about 30 days, make it, put it online, and share it with your community.
Then how do you vet these people? Because not everybody who wants to launch a jewelry line is serious about it, and they may not even go through with it. Because a lot of people are like, I want to do that, I want to do this. And then they're like, oh, the next day, no, never mind.
Yeah, so that's a great question also. So we have an application process at Pietra. So we have a lot of people who come in and say, hey, I've always had this idea to make this. They talk to our project lead team and we say, what do you want to make? We flesh out the idea a bit more with them. And then we present it to a network of global manufacturing partners and they weigh in and say, hey, this is possible, that's possible. We give feedback back to that person who wants to make it in the first place. They decide if they want to move forward with samples. If they want to move forward with samples, we send them to them at their house, which is great because, we're all at home right now. And if they approve those samples, they can be up and running on a Pietra shop the next day. So we actually started with an online shop for anyone who has a business already. And so we built out this shop that gives you the ability to talk to your fans, post your listings, talk to your community. We've now moved backwards in the supply chain to where we're actually providing people with ideas, the chance to actually make those things in the first place.
Then why should I partner with you guys? Because I could call the manufacturers myself. If I want to, run my jewelry line and I'm designing my jewelries, right? I'm designing the necklace, I'm designing the rings. I know what I'm doing. Why should I go on to another platform like yours?
Yeah, so what I did for first 10 years of my career was I actually was the person who would help you achieve that vision if you wanted to. So I worked with jewelry brands and beauty brands and shoe brands and art brands. And I would come to them and say, hey, I can help you take your idea. We'll build out a team. We'll source manufacturing partners. We'll put up a Shopify store. We'll get you on Instagram, right? We'll do the entire gamut of things that are needed. And it took us a year to spin up a store, right? It took us a year, lots of development costs. We had to find the right people. We had to put the right team together. And I did about 250 brands over about 8 years. And that's as many as I got to. With Pietra, over the last year, I've been able to do another 250 in that amount of time. So I think what's harder than people think is actually taking the time, flying to China, flying to India, flying to Canada, flying to Korea, and sourcing the right partners to help you achieve this. Then taking that product that you get, pricing it appropriately, creating your online distribution channel, making sure your social feed looks great. Doing all of that takes sometimes several years. And if you do it well, you can be super successful, right? You can be Glossier, you can be Goop, you can be Ivy Park. You can you can take your creative vision and make it a real brand, but it takes time, right? It takes effort, and it's not quite that easy. So with Pietra, we've managed to get that process down to about 30 to 45 days.
Okay. I would imagine after hearing what you just described, a lot of people are already at the stage of, never mind, it's too much work.
That's exactly right.
But for those of us who want to go through with it, how do they know your manufacturing partners are legitimate? Because there are so many out there, right? And then how do we know, oh, yours are the better ones? Because there will always be better ones out there.
Of course, of course. So I would encourage anyone interested to take a look at the Pietra shops that are live right now, and sort of judge for yourself what the fans are saying, what the people who are buying these things are saying about the brands that we work with. And there's another way you can look at it. One is look at the sort of success that we've had. But the second way is I can tell you about kind of who I've worked with in the past and who our team has worked with in the past. So my background specifically is I was advising Robert Downey Jr. and Glossier and companies like that, and helping them to build up businesses and manage whatever they did have. So I got a chance to see over that time dozens of manufacturing partners, dozens of consultants, dozens of marketing agencies, so many different companies trying to help and do this. And I built relationships over that time, and we're able to kind of understand who makes the best things now. The second half of that is the team building our platform is former Uber and Google engineers. So we have a very, very solid team behind us and a very solid investor group. So the story behind us is we actually raised money from one of the top tier VC firms in Silicon Valley, Andreessen Horowitz. And we got several sort of strategic investors to join us: Robert Downey Jr., Will Smith, Michael Obis, Joan Smalls, these people who have influence in sort of the creative space, who saw the vision for what we wanted to do and got behind it.
Okay, and then lastly, this is what a lot of our users would worry about. How much of a cut do you take?
Oh, that's a great question. So we take a marketplace fee very similar to like Amazon. So it's less than 20%.
Okay, of the total sales.
Yeah, exactly. And so the comparison to that is right now, if you want to start a brand and distribute in retail, right? If you want to go sell in retail stores, the retailer actually takes about 50% of the margin of the retail price. So it's a tough game for any new brand trying to start.
I don't understand that. What do you mean they take 50%?
Oh, sure. Yeah, so let's say you are this is sort of the underbelly of retail. So let's say you want to make I don't know, a candle, for example, right? You would go to a manufacturer. You'd say, I want it to be jasmine scented. I want it to be in this vessel, and I want it to have this logo on it. This is the simple version of it. It's a little more complicated, but that's the simplest version of it. They would say, okay, cool. I'll sell this to you for $10. You say, great, awesome. Then you would mark that up to $35, for example, to sell it to a wholesaler who has distribution. So you'd go to some retail chain somewhere and say, hey, you have a boutique in Arkansas. I want to sell my candle to you for $35 at wholesale. Awesome. That boutique will then sell it for $70, right? So what I mean when I say how much the retailer takes is if it retails for 70, the creator is getting 35 and paying, let's say, $10 to the manufacturer. So
that's very clear. Yeah, great that you explain it to us who don't know anything about it. All right, we will leave it there, and I hope you weather this, public health crisis, unfortunately, well, and we'll get through this together.
Yeah, you too. Good luck out there, and stay safe.